If you think a quiet night means you're safe, you might want to think again, because sometimes the things we disturb don't stay buried. My name is Justin, and what happened that night still doesn't make sense to me. You're watching Dark Whispers, and before we go further, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this only get darker from here. It all started almost a year ago during summer, when my cousin Martin came to stay with us for a few weeks, and at first everything felt fun and exciting. We spent most of our time playing video games, laughing, joking, and just wasting time indoors. But after a few days it all started to feel boring. The weather outside was awful, and it kept raining nonstop. So we were stuck inside my room all day, and honestly, I started getting really frustrated. Martin had this habit of touching everything, messing with my stuff and leaving it everywhere, and slowly it started to annoy me more than anything. One evening, I finally told him we needed to go outside. I said we should do something different for a change, but he refused right away and didn't even think about it. He kept saying the rain would ruin everything, and that he just wanted to stay inside and relax, but I kept trying to convince him it would be fun. I told him it would feel like an adventure, something different from just sitting around all day, but he still said no again and again. Eventually, I gave up and stopped asking, thinking we were just going to stay bored forever, until suddenly the rain stopped completely. I looked at him and said, "Now can we go?" He paused for a moment and then smiled, like he had just thought of something interesting. He suggested we take my dad's telescope outside and use it to explore the sky and surroundings, but I wasn't sure because it was expensive. The telescope was kept in my dad's study, and I wasn't even allowed to touch it, so I hesitated and told him it wasn't a good idea. But Martin kept insisting again and again, saying he knew how to use it properly, and that nothing bad would happen. I didn't feel comfortable, but I really wanted to get him outside, so I finally agreed with one condition. I told him we had to be very careful, and that nothing should happen to it, and he quickly nodded like it was nothing. Within minutes he grabbed the telescope and tripod and walked out of the house confidently, while I rushed to lock all the doors behind us. We walked for quite a while until we reached a hill not too far from my house, and the air around us felt strangely quiet. The sky was still cloudy, but the rain had stopped completely, and everything felt calm but a little uneasy. We set up the telescope on the hilltop and waited while the clouds moved fast above us, hoping the sky would clear soon. Just as I was about to look through it, Martin pushed me aside and grabbed it first, and that really started to annoy me. He suddenly became quiet while looking through it, so I asked him what he could see from there, and his answer made me curious. He said he could see a stone wall, and behind it there was a small cemetery, which immediately caught my attention. I looked through the telescope myself, and saw the same abandoned graveyard, with no church nearby, just broken structures. Before I could say anything else, Martin suddenly started running down the hill, heading straight toward the cemetery. I shouted and asked where he was going, but he just yelled, "Follow me," without stopping, and kept running like he didn't care. I had no choice but to grab the telescope and run after him as fast as I could, while trying not to slip in the mud. The ground was wet and slippery, and I almost fell a few times on the way down, but somehow I managed to reach the bottom. When I got there, Martin was gone, and I stood there breathing heavily, staring at the old stone wall in front of me. The place felt strange and uncomfortable, like something wasn't right about it, and the silence made it even worse. I called his name a few times, but there was no response at all until I heard his voice from inside. He told me to come into the graveyard, but I didn't feel like going inside. Something about it just felt wrong. Before I could decide anything, I suddenly heard a loud scream, and without thinking, I ran inside. I found Martin standing near a tombstone, looking completely normal, like nothing happened, and I quickly asked him if he was okay. He said he was fine, and told me to look at the name on the grave, which read Alon in faded letters. I didn't understand why that mattered, but before I could ask anything, he pulled out a permanent marker. I watched in shock as he started writing, scribbling a name across the tombstone, and I couldn't believe what he was doing. He wrote the name Molly in big letters, and I immediately told him to stop, because it was completely disrespectful. But he just laughed it off casually, and said it was just a stupid grave, like it didn't matter at all. At that point I just wanted to leave, so I told him we should go home, and thankfully he agreed this time. We walked back quietly and exhausted, and I realized I left the telescope behind, but I didn't even care anymore. As soon as we got home, we went straight to our rooms, and I fell asleep almost instantly. In the middle of the night, I woke up to a loud scream, and I immediately knew it was Martin. I ran to his room quickly, turned on the lights without thinking, and saw him sitting there terrified. He was sweating and shaking badly, and I asked him what had happened, but his answer shocked me. He said there was a woman in his room and that she came from the graveyard, but I thought it was just another prank. Then I noticed the marks on his neck, deep red scratches like someone grabbed him, and suddenly it didn't feel like a joke anymore. I knew Martin loved pranks, but he would never hurt himself like that, so something else had to be going on. He didn't sleep the entire night, and kept searching online for solutions, trying to fix what he had done. Early the next morning, he went back to the graveyard alone, without even telling me properly. When he returned, he was quiet, completely different from before, like something had changed inside him. He told me he cleaned the tombstone, removed everything he had written on it, and apologized sincerely at the grave. He even stood there for a while, showing respect to whoever was buried there, and asked for forgiveness again and again. After that day, nothing strange happened. Everything went back to normal again, and Martin never talked about it much. But even now, I still think about that night, about how quickly things turned dark, and how one mistake almost cost everything. So if you ever find yourself somewhere strange or feel like something should be left alone, maybe it's better not to touch it at all, because some things are not meant to be disturbed, and once you cross that line, they might not stay silent anymore.